London. Let's bring in Ahron Bregman, the Senior Teaching Fellow at the Department of War Studies at King's College London. Great to have you on the programme this evening. Great to talk to you, Ahron. First of all, I know you're a former IDF soldier as well. I think you served, am I right to say, back in 1982 in the Lebanon conflict. So your context and analysis very important this evening. Just give me your understanding of what's going on in the north of Gaza right now.
What the Israelis are trying to do in the northern part of the Gaza Strip is to empty it, basically, to send the citizens who are there, we are talking about 350,000 to 400,000, to the south. It is a straightforward ethnic cleansing. The aim, say the Israelis, is to separate between the good guys and the 5,000 bad guys, the Hamas combatants or terrorists. And so this is what they are doing, trying to push the citizens of Jabalia and all this area to the south in order to fight against the people of Hamas who are still there.
Ahron, the IDF put forward their assertion that right now there are militants of Hamas still in Jabalia. They've asked people to evacuate a number of times. Now there is, there is talk at the moment of what is called the General's Plan, which was put forward by an IDF general. The quote is the surrender or starve plan. The idea is that you move 400,000 people out of the north. You would talk about similar figures. You pummel the area, you hit the Hamas tunnels, and you effectively blockade the area. There's been no word on that from Israel, but as far as you're concerned, and you make pull no punches in your view there, you believe that is what is currently underway.
Oh yes, this is the plan to ethnic cleansing the area, to have the northern part of the Gaza Strip empty for two reasons. Number one, so that in the future Hamas will not be able to fire rockets from there to center Israel because it is closer to Tel Aviv. And number two, and this is not mentioned, it goes hand in hand with the plan or the agenda of those settlers who are in government. There are ministers who are settlers who want to resettle the northern part of the Gaza Strip. So I know exactly what's going to happen in terms of the dynamic. They will empty the northern part of the Gaza Strip. They will establish military camps. They are connected to electricity and water, and then settlers will move in. That's the long-term plan.
I mean, clearly, Israel would contest that, Ahron, what their point of view at the moment, and this is one that's coming under great scrutiny from world leaders, particularly in France and elsewhere, about the point of view they're putting across, which is that there is a continued conflict with Hamas and also Hezbollah in Lebanon. When it comes to Gaza right now, they say that it is Hamas using the population as human shields, and yet we're hearing from the likes of Médecins Sans Frontières, we're hearing from the UN as well, that they cannot get food right now into the Jabalia camp, that they have hit a number of targets, including bakeries, the healthcare sector, hospitals with people trapped inside that are not functioning. So big questions, and clearly, as you know, Ahron, the difficulty for people like me, former war correspondents, and my colleagues at other networks, the BBC, CNN included, cannot get access to give a verifiable picture. What they're doing at the moment is sitting on the periphery at panoramic points on the border of Israel, Ashkelon and the likes, to be able to look down and see what is intense strikes, perhaps some of them say as intense as it was at the start of this conflict. Let me take you from there to what's going on in the south of Lebanon right now. Let me first talk about 5 injured UN peacekeepers in the past 3 days. This is what the spokesperson for UNIFIL, those peacekeepers, said to me on the programme last night.
This is a violation of Security Council Resolution 1701, but is a grave violation of international humanitarian law. And it was a deliberate attack, at least the one against our cameras, against the mission. So highly concerning, again, because our monitoring capability has been limited.
Now, your context is very interesting here, Ahron, because you've served with the IDF back in the 80s, but go to 2006 when they had what they call Resolution 1701. The job of the UN was to keep Hezbollah out of the south. The Litani River keeps being mentioned, push them out. So Israel is saying you need to move 5 kilometres north. What's your take on what's going on?
The firing at the United Nations personnel there is done on purpose, in spite of what the Israelis keep telling us, and the aim is to get them out of the way. Because at the moment, the Israelis operate along the border between Israel and Lebanon on its northern part. But when this is done, when they finish clearing this part of the border, they, I believe, will try to push to inside deeper into Lebanon. And they do not want to have the United Nations, UNIFIL, monitoring them. So the aim is to scare them and to get them out of the way.
Hence the reason some of the cameras, UNIFIL say, have been shot at their main base, their main headquarters in the south as well. I want to know your thoughts and whether you feel conflicted sometimes, conversations that you will have with old colleagues. You've been for decades with a professor at King's College London and in the UK. But I am interested in your time serving in the IDF. Do you have conversations with former colleagues at the difficulties, the splits perhaps at the moment amongst feelings of those involved in trying to get rid of Hamas, Hezbollah, knowing this is a critical juncture, but perhaps sharing the view that you do right now?
Look, in the end, there will have to be, especially in Lebanon, a diplomatic solution, and in Gaza too. For now, it is a very long of attrition, and it's going to continue to be like that. Very soon, in the coming days, our attention will shift to Israel and Iran, where Israel will probably attack Iran, and there might be a regional war. But all of this big war, which started on the 7th of October 2023, will have to end with some diplomatic solution. And the own fighting, which is going now at the moment, is disappointing, and it's terrible, and it's a big tragedy for the people of Gaza, the people of Lebanon, the Israeli people, etc. We are not in a good place. Very
briefly, Ahron, you touched upon it, the counter-strike that the world awaits against Iran. We are, 12 days today since the Iranian mass ballistic missile strike across Israel. Iran struck 12 days after it said it was going to seek a vengeance for killings of Hezbollah leaders. Now, I say to you, clearly we're in a picture where it seems in the Israeli media the reports are they don't know whether a definitive decision has been made. As you see things, are we going to see something closer or later?
Closer the sooner. I think that we are getting very close to it. There was a telephone chat between Netanyahu and Biden a few days ago. They probably agreed more or less what not to do in Iraq, namely not to hit nuclear facilities. I suspect that Biden also asked Netanyahu not to touch oil facilities. But I think that we are getting very close to it. Today is Yom Kippur, a Jewish holiday there, and I think that maybe they just waited. I'm expecting it to happen. I would expect it to happen in the coming days, and hopefully it will not trigger a regional war, because Iran pledged to hit back. So, for example, if the Israelis overdo it, if they attack, say, oil refineries, Iran might attack oil refineries in Saudi Arabia and in Israel. So it's a very dangerous moment.
Great to talk to you. Great to have you on the programme, Ahron.